This is the Trace Displace, a fig, a Pond's fig, made popular by him, a person of great note and reputation. It's a Spanish fig, and it is known for its earliness, which is extremely important in the Northeast. And it nearly rivals Ronde Bordeaux and, let's just say, O'Rourke and Improved Celeste for earliness. And this fig has a pretty good reputation. Now, I've had this fig for several years, so I feel that I can go ahead and make an assessment of this fig once and for all, at least as far as I'm concerned. Other people out there, other growers, may have different opinions that vary, and that happens often, and that's fine. But I would not recommend this fig over Ronde Bordeaux. It deserves to be in my collection for now. It's winter hardy. It's very fruitful. I've been eating this for a long time, because here it is, the 29th now of August. So this is a fig that gets ripe, as I said, with the best of them, early with the best of them. Let's open it up. The reason why I don't recommend it is because it's a lot like Ronde Bordeaux, except for it does not tolerate water. It doesn't tolerate the humidity and the rain nearly as much as some of the other early figs. And for that reason, I give it lower marks. But if you have a nice dry run, it's pleasant. Hold on one second. Always, the taste is a little bit different than Ronde Bordeaux. I would give the slight edge to Ronde Bordeaux every time. I like Ronde Bordeaux better. Same size, a lot of similar attributes, but again, not quite as tasty. And I don't think that it holds up nearly as well to the Northeast, to inclement weather, as well as any of the other early figs as I've mentioned. That's my opinion. Does it deserve to remain in my collection? Yeah, because it's a curiosity and I like it. Let me gobble down this other piece, okay? Give me 1 second. I could easily surrender this variety and just stay with my Ronde Bordeaux, which I love so much. But this is not the reason why. Oh yeah, I've got to tell you. Where is it? I put it out in the front of the shed. I'll show you in a little bit. I put a trap out last couple nights. Didn't catch anything, but this creature that I mentioned in my other videos doing a pretty good number on me. And he's getting away with it. I'll talk about that more in a moment. But what I wanted to talk to you about now, which I haven't ever really shown you, I've never really made a video at this particular stage in this particular variety's development, but this is a San Pedro type that I have mentioned that I received from my uncle Mario. It is Feliciano Bianco, and it is a fig that is very close to the Desert King that you would be familiar with, perhaps. I call Dessert King. I explained that before, why I think it morphed over to Desert King, because it is a delicious dessert. And when it was first found in California, you have to read about the history of the Desert King. It was very sensational. In fact, it was considered for a moment in history for a while as the panacea of all fig woes. It was really heralded as they're going to be the greatest fig ever, because it is an absolutely fantastic cultivar, which I have talked about much and have some very beautiful trees of Dessert King. And Dessert King is of course, a San Pedro type, as is this. And they're very similar, but they're different. And I mentioned this before, and I'm going to very quickly tell you that San Pedro figs only grow figs unless there's the wasp, unless the fig wasp exists, it only ripens figs on last year's wood, the first crop. That's it. Okay? That's what a San Pedro fig is. Now, in other climates where you have caprification because of the fig wasp being in close proximity, like in California, places like that, it will make a second crop of main crop figs, and they will get ripe. But in a climate such as ours here in New Jersey, the second crop just falls off because it needs pollination. Okay? Well, the thing that really draws a distinction between the Feliciano Bianco and the Desert King, which are very similar, as I've mentioned. They both have a lot of breba, and they're very tasty, and they get ripe around the 4th of July, and blah, 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 blah. There's a lot of common thing. We could go into the exquisite little, tiny little detailed differences in the flavor, but I've talked about that before. It comes right down to they're about a draw. They're a little different. Either one in your collection is fine. But Feliciano Bianco is a little bit more winter hardy. I think a little bit, don't get me wrong, Desert King is very, very winter hardy. And more vigorous. Certainly more vigorous. It just grows and grows and grows. You can't stop it. You cannot stop this tree. But some of the main crop figs, now listen to this. Some of the main, you see, this is a main crop fig. You see that growing between the node? Some of the main crop figs, about 20%, 15 to 20%, will get ripe. Now, they're not very good. I would only say that they are fair or even poor. In fact, this one could go another day, and let's see over here. Find one that's riper. This one's ripe. Let me bite it in half. There. You see, it's ripened. And it's not very tasty. The skin is kind of sweet. By the way, the main crop figs do not even resemble, not even slightly resemble, the breba or the first crop figs. Not even close. It's an odd tree. It's very odd. Weird. I might put that in the title. But boy, is it prolific. And do some of these figs get ripe? Yeah, look at them. They're getting ripe, see? Main crop figs. I'm sure I could find another better example, a little bit more flavorful one. But the point is, they're not very flavorful. See them getting ripe? Without caprification. And it is a San Pedro type. Go figure. Here's another one. Look at that. So very odd. Now, my Desert Kings, they don't do that. Now, some people out there, I'm suspecting, have Feliciano Bianco, which is a more rare fig. And they think they have Desert King. And I think certain people out there have Desert King, and they think, well, I don't know about that, but I'm sure there's mistakes being made out there in the fig community, that there are people growing Feliciano Bianco and they think it's Desert King, and vice versa. But it's interesting to note that this tree does have that varying characteristic from Desert King. I value them both. This came from, again, my Uncle Mario brought this out of the mountains of Italy, which I've talked about before. And he's had it in the family. He brought it when he was a young man from Italy. That must have been 60 years ago, more. And I was able to save this fig. My Uncle Mario's been gone for 20 years. Sad to say. And or a long time. And I was very close to my Uncle Mario. We were both figsters. And we wrapped figs. Sometimes my family who's listening to this will know what I'm talking about. We had trees that were 20 feet high that were wrapped for the winter. And we did it together, and you couldn't wrap it by yourself. To pull the ropes with the pulleys and pull the branches together, wrap them in big tarps and canvases. But my Uncle Mario and I did it. And I just had wonderful, wonderful, wonderful times with my Uncle Mario. I loved him deeply, miss him tremendously. But he used to call this tree Feliciano. He used to tell me sometimes, he was always joking, we were always arguing back and forth. It was pretty interesting. Yeah, it was our arguments were famous because my Uncle Mario was very stubborn. Maybe I am too. And he would never yield. Maybe I didn't either. And he would say, Feliciano, it's a no fig. It's a Feliciano. And what he meant was, it never in his climate made main crop figs. And to them, to the Italians in that village, he lived in a small village called the Valley of St. John, or near it, Valle San Juan, not far from Taramo. Look at all the new growth. Look at this. Look at this is more vigorous than Desert King, or Desert King. But they considered it, because it only made Briba, or the first crop figs, they considered it almost a non-fig. They called it Feliciano, which, by the way, sounds pretty interesting to Feliciano Bianco, doesn't it? And he would insist, it's a no fig. It's a Feliciano. And I say, wait a minute, Uncle Mario. I said, what do you mean it's not a fig? What is it, a skunk? What is it, a watermelon? What do you mean it's not a fig? It's a fig. A fig's a fig. No, it's a Feliciano. He was cool. We were going to do a big argument. A lot of my relatives listening to this will probably laugh. But one of the most classic times that my uncle and I, a bunch of people around, and he would always used to say, "You wrong. And I say, "No, I'm right. I'd tease him with a fake Italian accent, you know. And one time he got so mad at me, and he was really flustered, and he goes, "Hey, Lou, I'm going to tell you. Sometimes you right, and sometimes you wrong. But this time, you wrong." And I laughed, and everybody was watching, intensely. And I said, wait. I said, Uncle Mario, just tell me one time. Just give me one example when I was right. What do you mean sometimes I'm right and sometimes I'm wrong? I'm always wrong. What are you talking about? And we all laughed. He was a character. Feliciano Bianco, if you can get true Feliciano Bianco, expect to get some ripe main crop figs. That's how you will be able to distinguish it from Desert King. They are fair to poor, sometimes worse. So don't look forward to the main crop fig. Sometimes in certain years, I've actually had pretty decent crops that were pretty tasty, maybe when some other figs weren't available, but not usually. I would never grow it for that peculiar aspect of a San Pedro fig that really should not be ripening any unpollinated main crop figs. But this, there you go. You're talking about geographic distances, centuries. This tree could have been taken to Spain or to Egypt or to Tunisia in the northern shore of Africa. It could have stayed there for hundreds of years. The Romans could have brought it. Who knows, the Egyptians at one time or the Greeks. Whatever the history of it, because of the differences in the geography and in the soil composition and in the minute differences in the climate, and because of the early gardeners, fig gardeners, that selected certain branches like I would do. I would look at this branch. See, this branch is, to me, it's a wonderful, beautiful, absolutely incredible representation of what I absolutely love and value in a fig tree. Long, new growth, no pinching required, period. Amen. End of story. And figs in every single node. Look at this. Figs in every node. Now, if I was going to air layer this fig, which I have done for decades, I have kept this fig from disappearing from our family. And I'm happy that I was able to do it because I gave this tree to my friend Daniel Yakir, which you will see in my collection, Fig Varieties of the World. And he took this back when he visited me. He visited me in the United States 3 times, me and Debbie, with his lovely wife, Maggie. And I gave him lots of cuttings from my collection. And he brought them back, and one of them was Uncle Mario's, this Feliciano Bianco. And he brought it back, and he grew it in his orchard, which he called plantation. Beautiful. Beautiful. I'm going to make a video of Danny. I love Danny. He's deceased now. And he sent me back a video, and you can watch that video, Fig Varieties of the World. And in that video, he will say, Lou, with his broken accent, Uncle Mario. And he's referring to the fact that this tree that he grew in Israel came from me. And it was my Uncle Mario's Feliciano Bianco. He called Feliciano. And he eats it, takes off his hat and spins it around. I mean, he's really a cool guy. And he loved it. It was very flavorful. It's a very flavorful fig. So, I hope you enjoyed those stories. If you're not enjoying the stories, turn it off and move on. I just got a couple more things I want to show you. The trap didn't go off. I changed the trap and put a new trap. Tonight I'm going to catch them. I used a few pistachios and some figs. I don't know if you can see all that, but I hope to catch him tonight. He went in the trap last night, but the trap didn't go off. He's eating up and breaking off all my figs. He got my red lemonese, which I was hoping, that I was really looking forward to. And my Holier, whatever, potato, we talked about that, which is over there. He ate all my best Holier that I was looking forward to. And he broke into I shouldn't say, he walked into my greenhouse, and he got my ripe Black Madeira and Preto and Italian 258 and Smith. And gobbled up some other varieties as well. Yellow long neck. Maybe I'll pause for a moment. Oh, let me go over here. Here's Azores Dark. And he got to my Azores Dark last night. I have eaten these for the last couple of years. And it's a small version, slightly different leaf. Some of the leaves are slightly different, more 3-lobed than your typical Mount Etna. A little bit of variation from your Mount Etna. Not much, but worthy of mention, I would say. When you let them get really dry and shrivel a little, they're very sweet and tasty and intense. They're good, but they're essentially another Mount Etna, like this variety and this variety over here, which is this is Bass's Bethlehem Dark or Black, and it is a Mount Etna, and it's loaded with figs. There's figs everywhere, all over the place on this tree and all the trees. Let's open it up. There we go. This is Bethlehem Black. This is another variety, and the squirrel got to that, or the creature, or the raccoon. Again, I'm being robbed. Look how he ate that one. I'm going to catch him. Look how he ate another one over here. Look at that. He's getting. Look at that. Look at over there. Oh my God! Look at that. He's just tearing up. That's my holy eye again. He got another one. Jesus. Come on. Leave one for me. Hold on. Another Mount Etna. Some of these have variations. We've spoken about that before. Here's another one. I have a video, The Old Man and the Fig. This old man, I never met him again. I saw him at a flea market, and he was selling some of his cuttings. first freshly started trees, I should say, from cuttings. And I've been eating these. That one's almost ripe. I don't feel like picking them. I've eaten so many figs. I don't know if I can take any more figs. I'll just pick it. Oh, come on. There we go. Let's open it up. Another Mount Etna type. Remember my advice. Go with someone who's providing you with an accurate representation of multi-black. For example, or another one you might prefer, red Lebanese, for example, and be happy with that. You don't need to go any further than that. This is the old man in the fig. I got a video like the old man in the sea with the old man in the fig, and it's a very, very good. It's a very good Mount Etna. Very, very good. I like this Mount Etna. I love the variation in the leaf a little bit. Look how there's a little bit more jagged, a little bit different, just a tiny bit. Large leaves, and the flavor's excellent. There's just a little pinch of excellence. A little pinch of excellence above and beyond it's hard to tell the difference. You've got to really know your Mount Etnas, but see how jammy that is? Can you see that? It's not even really fully ripe. I mean, it could go another day, probably another half a day. But it doesn't need to. There's a little bit of a tang, I like to say. A little bit of an extra tang to this old man and the fig. I talk about it in another video, that video. But, so I think I'll stop here, except for maybe I might take a walk over to the other trap that failed me last night. And if it hadn't, I might have been able to save some of my Hollier that I'm trying to hang on to. This trap wouldn't be big enough. This is the failed trap, and it wouldn't be big enough to catch a raccoon. I've noticed a couple squirrels lately, and so I'm thinking, is it possible? But maybe possible back there. I've seen them, but what came in here was a raccoon because it broke off branches. So I have a big trap out for that, which I'll show you in a second, because I don't want to hurt the creatures. I don't want to hurt them at all. I just want to. This is Smith. I still have some, although so many have gotten ripe, and pretty soon they'll be out. It's such a prolific variety, and if you like delicious figs, get Smith, because it's early, and compared to Black Madeira, hold on, rich and creamy, jammy, sweet, certainly a fig of perfection. I love them. Here's another very, very prolific Smith. I still have quite a few on here. I've got to pick them and get them, and Debbie loves this tree too, and so I've got to bring these into Debbie. Let's go up here and look. Beautiful, beautiful ripe figs everywhere. And I've got, I want to tell you, I've made several videos of my baby Black Madeira. I made a series of the baby Black Madeira. This is one of the baby Black Madeira. See right here, that I actually filmed for you and showed you how I air layer my trees. It's a method that I've used for years and years, and it's always successful. So I implore you to utilize that method if you don't have one of your own that you're successful with. But I made 3 baby Black Madeira that year, and this is one of the babies. It's only a couple years old, but look how beautiful it is, and look how many figs, and it's getting ripe. Look, the baby Black Madeira, they're getting ripe. What do I see back here? I see an Italian 258. That looks like a big one. Oh, look at that. Oh gosh, guess what? You're coming with me. Oh, I'm gonna take you with me. Oh, nice. You're going to Debbie. Italian 258. I'll grab those Smiths. But let's walk in here. Here's some Prado. I just ate a bunch. I'm kind of goofy. I should have not even come in here because I've just eaten a bunch of these. But this is my Preto. Figo Preto. This is ripe. I'll let that go just another, maybe till tonight or tomorrow. Here's another one. This one here. This one's overly ripe. There's another one back here getting ripe. Let me see here. Let me see you. Are you ripe yet? Oh, you're almost. More food for the raccoon. He gets in here tonight. That one's ripe. I should probably pick this one. Wow. There we go. This is Preto. That's Preto. Look how rich. Look at the color of that. I'm going to just gobble this down because it's going to make a mess otherwise. Absolutely delicious. So that's the story. Here's another Black Madeira. And this one's splitting, look. Rain and humidity, rain and humidity. That's kind of rare, especially in here. That's why I put these in here a couple weeks ago, and I just left them here because we've been getting too much rain. Yellow long neck. Now the Ronde Bordeaux that's in here in a pot looks like completely out of figs. That's it. It's over. My earliest fig annually, year after year. So, here's another baby Black Madeira, which is not getting ripe yet. Look at all these figs on here. Come here. Come here, baby Black Madeira. Look at all this. This is a beautiful tree, isn't it? You can follow that series if you like. Black Madeira. I like it very much. These will all start to get ripe like the other baby Black Madeira. Like this baby Black Madeira is getting ripe now. Next year, this tree is going to be so prolific. It will grow to about this high, and we'll have twice as many figs on it. Look at all these figs on these baby Black Madeira. Look at them. And I'm going to make sure that I feed them properly. And I'm going to have plenty of Black Madeira next year, which I have plenty this year to eat. Having fun, but not having fun with that darn raccoon. So let me quickly show you. I gotta grab these for Debbie. These are, look at that, perfect Smith. Beautiful. Right over here. I'll show you the other trap if you hold on 1 second. I've caught a lot of creatures out here in the country over the years, and I'm always very careful to protect their lives. That's a big trap there, you see, look. Very big trap. I don't want any harm to come to them. They're just trying to survive like every other living thing. And I certainly don't object to that in any way. But I can't just let this creature, once they learn a habit and they start breaking your trees and coming into your greenhouse, or just eat, really, he's eating all the figs, breaking the branches everywhere. You have no choice but to capture it. and release it, and try to do so in kindly fashion. Okay, so we had some discussion about Feliciano Bianco, about Azores Dark, the Spanish fig that we talked about from Ponds, which I do not recommend over Ronde Bordeaux. We talked about a bunch of different varieties and a few other concepts. We talked about Mr. Raccoon and the squirrels. And I think it's time to say good day. So with that, good day. Thanks for visiting.